Hello and welcome everybody to Dead Killer Studios. I'm just gonna hop right in here and explain what I'm doing. So this is week 1 of developing a game inside using S&box. All right, if you're not quite familiar with that, it is the sequel to Garry's Mod. If you're familiar with that, and this is source 2 now, a modified version. All right, and so I'm basically a noob to everything source in terms of development. And so I'm really just ready to get in here and freaking explain what I'm going to be doing. So first off, the game I want to make is very simple, just a defend the Alamo type thing. All right. And I actually got inspired by this one story when this Mexican rancher got approached by the cartel and they said they were going to take his land away from him. And he said, you know what? Actually, you ain't going to do nothing to me. And so they left and they're like, all right, you watch. And then so he set up bunker. So this is the plan of just a simple game where you are a guy and you're defending to the last breath. I want to make this a game and so I could be familiar with the S&box engine. I got a lot in store for this video, so just buckle up and get ready. All right, so where I left off, I got the character working, figured out and learned what the heck is going on in the S&box editor. All right, got this ragdoll working, and so I wanted to make something like an explosive mine for it. And so you hit the mine, blow up, get launched, but that was a little bit harder than I thought it would be. But I got it so my player could take damage. So now let's move on to the next part. Let's damage something else. All right, so this is where the yap session begins. I'm getting started working on damaging something else, right? The reason it takes me like 30-40 minutes to do this is because, let me give some more backstory here. This project is set up after Small Fish Dev. I watched some of those videos that I'm putting up here now, and I stopped after like 2. I watched all of them. They're pretty simple, basic. I am familiar with Unity and Unreal. I understand game engines and Godot. I love Godot. Shout out. And so I understand. I just had to get familiar with what was going on in here. All right. And so I got a player set up. I enabled it to get ragdolled. There's a death. Ragdoll is death, basically. So my player can die. All right. So that is going pretty well. The mine I was trying to do didn't go so well. But now let's work on some enemies. All right. So before I do anything, I always like to just set up logs that print to make sure if anything's actually happening, because this whole time I'm like, is things happening or am I doing things right? So I'm tippy-toeing back into the workspace. All right. So I don't have an enemy script. My player script, it's called not player component because I don't, you know what? Let's not worry about why. But it is the player component. I just didn't want to mess with the, like, if there's like a real player component. And it's just got my stats. Right now I have health, and then I have some other stats in there that you'll find out later. But I don't have an enemy, so I'm setting it up. I know I'm going to make an enemy already. And I figured out how to get damage to do damage to the enemy. So then after that, I go ahead, set up an enemy script. Very simple. All it has is a health and a take damage function and a die function. No attack, no nothing like that. All it has is health. And so, bam. That's pretty simple. Pretty figured it out. I think I got it. And so I set it up. And right now we have laser vision. So the way I'm doing the ray traces, these are all just from the videos, the punching videos on the tutorials, because it's just very simple ray tracing. All I did is extend the range tack more like a gun. And so that's what we get right now. It's working fine. Goal is to have weapons that you can exchange for different pickups. Pick up different weapons. All right, so it's not always the exact same weapon the whole time. And so we'll figure that out as we get down across the line. You know what I mean? But now that that is working, let's go have a discussion on what we should do next. Now that we are finally able to damage people and I understand how ray tracing works, and I should be able to figure out how these guns work. So, what is next on the agenda is the question. Well, we first, I think, must make the map. Make the defensive structure. Make the house. That's supposed to be the Alamo. I don't know if you got it, but I think that's what we have to make first. I have to figure that out. However, either in Blender or I think this is supposed to have some kind of map editor with like some sort of hammer. Let's find out what that's all about. Next, then we need to make some guns, I think. I have modeled a few guns in Blender. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to do that. But after that, we need to make NPCs, which is going to be a very big challenge in and of itself, and is probably the one I will figure out after making a map. Because we know how to shoot guns, we can worry about the fancy animation and all that stuff later. But figuring out how to make actually good enemies to make a freaking video game, that seems a little bit more important to me, don't you think? As we end day 1 of this, let's see what happens in day 2, trying to figure out this map stuff.
What is this? What are these?
Currently day 2. So, what we're doing is going to be building a base. I keep saying base when I'm recording these, and it's a house. We're making the map. Anyways, so the goal is to learn how to make a house. That's what we're doing. And so if you're not familiar with what this is, it's the hammer editor of S&box. So it's a map editor. That's how you make maps. Very easy to just get in there and start working with it. This is how custom maps are created for Left 4 Dead and stuff, I believe. But that was source 1, this is source 2. So I just have to learn how the heck to do any of this. So it is similar to Blender, if you're familiar with that, with model editing programs, which I sort of am. Alright, so it's all about learning the hotkeys and the stuff for that. So right now, I'm trying to figure out how to make a door. That's what I'm trying to do. And I try to do this on my own for weeks. Not weeks, but for a freaking long time. Like, it took me like 30 minutes to figure out how to extend. It just was not making any sense to me. I kept trying to fill holes. I was making a lot of mistakes and trying to figure out what to do. But, hey, where we fall, we gotta learn sometimes, right? Looking back at this, yeah, it's so funny. I could do this in like 2 seconds now. Now that I know how to do it, obviously I can do it in 2 seconds. But, so I'm just gonna be building a home, building a house, kinda got an idea in mind. Kinda got some reference points. Some reference images. It's a lot of Googling, a lot of researching. I had no idea how to use this program. And so eventually, I make my house, but then I just delete the whole thing. Alright, so I delete the whole thing, get rid of it, scrap it, get it out of there, and I'm just going to follow the video exactly. Watch the video on how to get a house, alright? And I wish this guy would have told me how to extend the freaking doorway, because he did it so quick. It's only a 5-minute video. But he says every key that explains what he's doing, except the extend. It's freaking shift. It's shift. Gosh, I had to watch a 14-year-old video to figure that out. Shout out that guy. But speaking of 14-year-old videos, it does make sense that some of the source 1, the original hammer maps editors worked, because that's what Valve used. I'm pretty sure that's what Valve used to make their maps, is the hammer editor. So this is definitely not going to look pretty at the end of this, and this takes me way too long to actually eventually be able to build, and I'm definitely going to delete it and do it again eventually. But right now, let's see what happens in the function. So we got the first part built out right here. All right, we got 1 room and 2 rooms. Bam, we made a doorway. Bam. All right, so we gotta let's figure out the layout of the house real quick. and then we'll just get in here and start building it out and figuring out how to make windows and stuff, and how to make it actually look good. Sort of, not actually look good. Let's discuss the floor plan. All right, pretty simple. It's gonna be a one-story house, no upstairs, or well, we'll get to that. But if you've seen Breaking Bad, it's kind of like Tuco's mom or grandma, wherever they get taken in what was that, season 1 or whatever, when they're at that house. I'm thinking that, and then it's just like open kind of desert around them, but it's like a clay home. All right, and so I got doors, so 4 rooms, doors connecting all the rooms. The little line outside is a door, and then all the lines inside are windows, so you'll be able to shoot outside, because the idea of the game is that you're holding down and you're bunkered up and you're fighting till you're dead. You're fighting every guy you can until they finally take you down. All right. So, and then that square rectangle, it's going to be a staircase, so you could actually get on the top of the roof. It's actually going to be a ladder in a hole, so you can actually get on the roof and shoot it down. All right. So we're just going to keep on building. It's basically done now. I got that layout, but I have a door malfunction. That's what that big hole wasn't. That hole wasn't supposed to be there. It's supposed to be a doorway. So I just have to finish the windows on here, and that just takes some time. It takes like an hour or so. Room to the right, that's actually, I'm thinking, is going to be a garage in the final game. So this is me making the hole for the top right now, so that you could get up. There's going to be some cover there and maybe an ammo or something. But yeah, the enemies are gonna be coming from all 4 sides in different waves, and so you got to be able to defend. Each side has a position because there's no windows in that side. It's gonna be a garage, I'm thinking. So I had to figure out how to fix this door. This door still looks horrible in the final edition. All right, I kind of fixed it. I mean, I fixed it. It looks okay, but yeah, you'll see when I do a full walkthrough of the finished product. All right, so it is almost finished. Well, actually not right here. This is just the basic test to test it out, see what's going on. I had to light it up, testing it inside the scene. Yeah, there's no lights or anything. That makes sense. So I'm not entirely familiar with exactly how this works. If you're familiar with Unity, I mean, there's no like loading an external map. With this, it's kind of like you're loading like another map, and then you build inside of that your scenes as well. I am not familiar with S&box whatsoever, so this is all a learning process for all of us. Let's just figure out what's going on. So got some lights in here now. All right, and this is also when I realized that the windows were too high. Yep, yeah, you could like barely look out the window. I was like, oh my gosh, the windows are too high. I know the house was also not on the ground. I put it on the ground eventually, but yeah, the windows were too high. But I'm fixing the windows, and it's all working out, man. Making the windows that work. I'm glad I checked when I did check, so it is all right. The geometry here is so messed up. Half of the doorways are thick, half of them are thin. It's just all over the place, really. But it's all right. First time. After a certain point, I kind of gave up. Not gonna lie. I mean, I made the house. Like I just did not care about making it, like fixing it and making it all look right or nice at all. So what's next after this? So we built this house. Basically, this house is done. Now it is on to the NPCs or the AI. They're NPCs. Anyways, the AI, the freaking CPU, the bots. Time to work on the enemies. So that is going to be challenging as we come on the end of day 2. All right. So I have no idea how AI works in this engine whatsoever. I made a 2D game, so I made basic like Mario type Goombas and stuff and like shooting enemies. But I've made some type of enemies that chased you and shot you in Unreal using the EQS system. So we're just gonna figure it out and just try to get this working, and that is the plan for day 2. Hello everybody, it is day 3. Alright, I'm actually going to be doing a live planning, so sorry if you hear my mouse clicks. But let's just figure out what we got to do. We're going to be making the NPC, we're going to make the enemy, so we're going to make the AI, so we're going to have to plan out the script. So I just want to let you know what I'm thinking here, and as we come up with this together. Alright, so we got the base. Got the house. Alright. Yep. And then there's going to be like rocks. Maybe a truck or something. Wheels. Cover all around for the bad guys to hide behind. Alright. Pretend this is cover, and then we're inside shooting. So the bad guys, their guns, they're going to be spawning in from all around. So we want them to go forward to shoot at the house. We want them to be able to take cover. Alright, and we want them to be able to kill the player. We don't want 2 people taking the same cover if it's occupied. Alright, so pretty simple, I think. Just getting, not worried about them spawning, I'm worried about, that's a different program we're going to have to write. But right now, we just need them to go towards the player, go towards the entrance, honestly. They gotta understand that this is the entrance, and that not to just like go after the player, but also to shoot the player, to hide behind cover, and then we want them to be kind of able to react to some stuff. So now I should have the, let's see. I just had it. We don't have to say that. Okay, so this is what I have for the enemy so far. It's going to have a fire function. Alright. It's going to have a move to function, which like it does, but we're going to have a specific movement. A take cover function. And these might not be functions. No. It's going to have take cover function. Switch target function, which is just like swapping between firing, moving, taking cover, and stopping, not doing anything. It's gonna have health. We're gonna deal with the ammo and the gun all inside of the enemy, because they're not gonna have to pick up guns or anything like that. And we're gonna have covers. I'm gonna explain that in just a second, but I'm gonna explain that in just 1 second. And then a risk factor. I was supposed to say fact. A risk factor, so if they're getting shot at, or if someone maybe died to them, that's a little complicated, but just a percentage maybe about like what to do next, what they did last. And so that should probably be on the bottom thing to do again, is if they just did it. Move to take cover. We'll figure out the like kind of randomization in the AI and how to make it feel good. Now I'm thinking that the cover will be using cover. Like, alright, so this, in the enemies, they're actually going to have a list or an array of covers, of all the covers in the map. And so that they can go and they can choose which cover to go to, and then they just check if that cover is taken, or if it's not taken. If there's already someone on it, then that means it's taken. But if not, then it is not taken. So then they're free to move to it. I feel like that's the best way to make sure they don't bump into each other. But also at the same time, now that I say that, there is a kind of inbuilt function that they won't like crowd and like try to bump into each other. So if they're going to the same spot, we'll see. We'll see how it gets into it as we start dealing with large groups of people. All right. So I have move to function. It follows the player, but now we just need to figure out how to do all of this. All right. So let's just get started and hop back into it. And it could fire. Basically stealing it from my player's code. The enemy won't be able to pick up weapons or change weapons, so they're just going to have a basic rifle. So that will be easier to just kind of hard code that into the enemy. Not really worried about having like superior enemies or anything. That'd be pretty easy to swap them because they won't be dropping their guns and stuff like I plan to do with the player. Now, so got to make firing work. It works pretty well once I get it working. I spent a little bit of time trying to see the hit scans. I know in Unity you can turn on debugging, or in Unreal you can turn on debugging and see exactly where the lines are and if they're shooting or not. But I can't figure out where that is. It's probably somewhere. Let's see if we can figure it out later, because that is going to be very helpful once we get to the later parts of this project with animation and guns. I got the shooting working from its eyes, just like mine. So it shoots and moves. It shoots and moves at the same time. All right. That's as much as we gotten right now. And then I got it to be able to move to the house and move to the player. There is no delay in shooting for the enemy. So the second the player walks into its eye beams, it's just dead. The range is very small, but I think I just have to bump that up. But it's causing a lot to be bumped up. So that's the end of my first session. And then I come back a little bit later and try to create more of the basic AI stuff, what we need for it, the framework, if you will. So I kind of created a list of what I needed to do. No, I didn't. That's a lie. Okay, so I made like 4 methods, and I'm going to use an enum. Enum. Is it an enumeration? Is that what that is? Anyways, I always forget how to use enums. I have to freaking remember. A little chat GBT. It's actually not chat GBT, it's Microsoft's, but it reminds me how enums work. I'm like, oh yes. I'm like, there's a reason I know like what they're going to do, and I know how to do it. So we make some enums, an idle, kind of a shooting, a take cover, a moving one. We fill out some more, but we actually aren't going to use them. So what we're basically going to do is create a switch function that's going to be constantly running and updating what state the enemy is in. The issue with that is that we have to decide when to change the states. All right. Yeah, for that, I am where you need to randomize it a little bit, add some more choices, get it figured out. So what I really do is, so we create some functions for the AI. All right. We have to make them work. Some of them don't work. We had some issues with move. The house still has an issue. There's issues to be ironed out for sure. But we created the basics. All right. It can swap actions. It can take cover. It will shoot the player. The issue I have at the end of this video is I want the goal with the 2 house movement is that I want it to go to the house, and once it's in the house, it should either see the player or go to the player, and it shouldn't leave the house. Once it's in the house, it shouldn't leave the house. But right now what it's doing is it's going in the house and it's leaving to go take cover. And I had an in-house function, but it didn't work. And so I'm trying to figure that out. But we got the basics of it, the state, we got its actions, its states, just a little bit of code, the basics of it to get it ripe and ready. So I think I fixed the player moving into the house. And also I added the ability to take multiple covers, and so it can go back and forth. Also, right now, I want it to look at the player, and if it sees the player, to start shooting at the player and go towards him. And so that is what I'm testing out here. It's going to different covers. I'm noticing a big issue is that they are stiff, not moving while they're shooting, and just stopping and turning. So we'll have to fix that. All right, you got the most basic enemy, right? But it only works in the most specific vacuum. So what we really need to do to test it out just a little bit more is we need more AI to work with. I don't even know if this freaking cover system works, but we got to make an enemy manager. All right, very simple. We're going to just have a spawn positions, multiple spawn positions where the enemy can spawn. That's what that says. The second one says covers. This contains all the covers that enemies could grab, and this will attach to the player. Now we'll have the enemy, just like the enemy prefab that is, and then we'll have lives. So we'll maybe adjust this, change this, depending how this works, but that's kind of the idea, is that we have the covers, we have where they're going to spawn, it needs the enemy prefab to spawn it, and then how many we are going to spawn. Alright, the script for this is not the most difficult thing in the world. Shout out Microsoft Bing. It basically gave me the pseudocode and the logic for it, while I had to replace every single line that it gave me because syntax was terrible, or was wrong, and just was not actually working the way I thought. So I had to actually make it work, but the logic's there. So when it spawns things, it needs to assign all the other objects that enemy needs for it to work. It's got the covers. It spawns all the enemies. Pretty simple, really. Not that complicated of some code. Yeah, alright, yeah. All we gotta do is just get the player position. That should work. We're gonna spawn the enemies. Now that we have that working, or alright, so I build a ladder real quick because I want the ladder to be... That's supposed to have a roof, so you should be able to climb up there. Very simple to make a ladder. In Sandbox, you literally just tag something ladder and the default movement works. Alright, and then there's no enemies already there, but when I click play, enemies will spawn and do stuff. Oh, I gotta test the ladder, but they will spawn and do stuff. Some are coming towards me. I'm killing them. Alright, so we've gotten it build up and running, but it's not really running right. Like, we're not actually getting anywhere. So what we actually need to do is I need more ways to actually test this. So we're going to have to finish the map. We're going to have to do the models and animations and the guns to really see how the gameplay is going to work. So that is the next day's task, is going to be modeling and animating. It is going to be a task. I'm not a modeler or animator, really. I mean, I know how to use Blender, but you'll be there to see how it goes, so we'll figure it out. Oh my gosh. Let's see how what day are we on? All right. Just hit that like and subscribe button and the bell if you want to see what keeps on happening with this series. It is day 5, alright? This is actually, I'm recording this before I do anything, just to let you know that I am going to be modeling and creating a whole bunch of stuff, which is kind of boring and not that interesting, and it's just gonna be a time lapse, and I'm not very good. Oh my god, I'm not good. Please don't expect anything. Oh my gosh, it's awful, but I need to add some kind of art style to this game. And so I just need to spend a day or two working on that. And so that is what this next segment is going to be. I would like to upload this video basically on day 7 or day 8, or how the video would come out on day 8. Yeah, because that's day 1 of when I'm... Anyways, yeah. So that's the goal right now, and that is what's happening. So I don't know how hard that is going to be, because that also includes the character animation and such. But all right, this is getting too long. Just see what happens and enjoy. All right, we're back. It is after building day. Let me do the big reveal. Yeah, I fucking basically did nothing. Gosh darn it, I really wanted to like be a whole revamp, the map would all be ready and it would like kind of look finalized. Nope, that is gonna have to wait till next week. I procrastinated so much and I just want to end this video already. So let's see what we got. Oh wow, couch, bad couch. Don't look at how bad it is. TV and a lamp and that thing, TV stand, whatever. Looks crazy. Don't ask me why the walls look like this. Oh, kitchen, yeah. Nothing has textures because I don't know how to freaking get textures and how to import the textures from Blender into the freaking sandbox. All right, we'll figure it out though. Oh, look at the sink. Oh wow, look at that faucet. It looks so faucety. Ooh. Yeah, that's it. Oh, ceiling fan. Oh wow. Yep, we'll fix these textures and everything later. Made the little hill terrain. All right, so it looks cool. That's cool. I figured out I wasn't compiling the map again when I fixed it. But I'm gonna finish these models, hopefully next video, and then I'm gonna freaking next week we're gonna get this freaking guy making it look like he actually can shoot a gun and everything. And I found my USB drive that has my stuff, and also hopefully this map will be done. So we will see. All right, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you stay tuned for the next videos. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you get alerted about the next week's progress. All right, I hope everyone has a good one. Stay cool, stay calm. Peace.